Hi, I'm Jerry Carter with the Sierra Crest Business Law Group. We get a lot of questions from business owners about asset protection. These owners work day in, day out. They're building their business to build a better life for themselves and their family. And they're concerned about people who are making them a target, people who are actually out there trying to take what's theirs. And so they want to know, how can I protect that from those kinds of people so it's there for me and my family? When we talk about asset protection, we're talking about the 3 L's. There's legitimacy, there's layers, and then there's laying low. Let's talk about legitimacy first. So, true story, when I was a baby lawyer, I thought asset protection was all about dealing with shady, borderline ethical tax advisors. It was about stuffing a briefcase full of cash and taking it to some remote island on the other side of the planet. And it was about James Bond kinds of things. And the fact is, that's not what it is at all. What we're going for is legitimacy. And a lot of people don't realize that here in Nevada, and as well as many other states, the legislature and the governor have gotten together and decided that they want people to be safe in certain assets. They want people to be able to hold on to certain stuff, and they write it into the law that you can hold on to this stuff. And in fact, in Nevada, there's a list of about 26 categories of money, assets, things that nobody can touch, no matter how bad you've been, no matter what kind of judgments have been obtained against you, you get to keep this stuff. So wouldn't you want to know what's on the list? Well, there are a lot of interesting things on the list. One thing on the list is retirement accounts. So if you've got money squirreled away in a 401k or an IRA or Social Security, that can't be touched. Another example is the car you drive to work. Another example is if you have a limited liability company. And there are 2 things about limited liability companies. One is, yes, if your business is incorporated into an LLC, then people who have a problem with the business can't go after you for that problem. But there's another thing, which is that you control the outflow of money from your limited liability company. So if somebody has a judgment against you, you can hold them off indefinitely and say, well, I'm not ready to take money out of the company, so you just have to hold tight. Wouldn't you like that? And then there are other legitimate things. So basically what I would say is we fill up the 26 buckets that the Nevada legislature has already given you. And then after those are filled, we can move on to other legitimate types of asset protection. The key is you can keep it all above board and legit. So let's talk about layers. The best way to think about layers is imagine you're driving your car. And when it comes to safety, you want a lot of layers in place in terms of your safety system. So you want the traction control system. You want the early warning of a collision system. You want the airbags. You want the bumper, so that when the moment of truth comes, you can either avoid the accident altogether, or that the various systems work together to help absorb the shock and keep you safe. It's the same way with asset protection. You want to take advantage of as many layers as you can, because some layers do one thing well, but not other things. And so if you can blend your layers together, you're safer overall. So for you, for example, the right combination of layers might be making sure that you've fully funded your retirement accounts, making sure you have a limited liability company in place, and then on top of all that, making sure that you have a Nevada Domestic Asset Protection Trust, which is totally legit as well. And so the 3rd L that completes the trifecta is laying low. I think we all intuitively understand that the less people in the public know about our wealth and where to find it, the less we're going to be targets. Now, of course, if we're in court and a judge says you have to answer the question, you answer the question. But long before we're in court, people are looking up public records about you, and sometimes even hiring private investigators to look you up. And so as lawyers, we know where your name is going to show up in public records searches attached to certain assets. And we can work with you to make sure that your name doesn't show up there. So the question I have is, Are you working your tail off for yourself and your family? Or are you just out there working for anybody and everybody who wants to glom onto your stuff? If you're working for you and you're working for your family, give us a call.